Hey everybody, my name is Don Donaldson. I own an '07 GT500. This is actually my second car. The first car I ordered in this actually August of '06. Had it delivered to the dealership on December 8th, 2006. Had the car for 3.5 years. That's when I paid big money for. And then I got rid of it, which I shouldn't have, but I did. And then years later I bought my second one. I've worked at a Ford dealership for 25 total years. I'm retired now, and I'm going to basically discuss the options and modifications I've done to my current '07 second GT500. As a side note, I also own a GT350 for about a year and a half, but I wanted to retire early, and my wife says I couldn't retire having a $60,000 note, so I bought a '07 GT500, and this is what I own now, and this is what I'll go to bed with and die with. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to turn the camera to the interior of the car. And basically show you what the car has in it. I have a Panasonic in-dash navigation system, which I love. One of the things that these cars are known for is a volt issue with the alternator, so I put a real cheap voltmeter in. I bought a nationwide alternator, which is $600. So I'm going to start the car. Pretty much tells me that the car is putting out enough voltage, because I had issues on a tune one time because it was not putting out enough voltage. I'm going to go and picture my navigation system. I'm going to go through the exterior of the car now. I do have a signature from Carroll Shelby. I wish it was the real deal. I did have the opportunity to get a signature signed by Carroll, but I missed the opportunity and he passed away, so that's a vinyl outlay that I laid myself, and I think it turned out pretty well. So I'm going to show you the car itself. I have the red interior inlays, which is the way I wanted it. I don't like the black on black. I like the red. I have the gauges. I have a boost gauge and an air fuel ratio gauge. The stick shift is standard, and the paint's never been touched. The wheels are CS14s, and from Shelby. I have 14-inch rotors with a bracket that extends the caliper out, and these are 20 by 11 in the rears with NT05s, 305s, 3020s, and then I have 255s on the fronts with standard Brembos and cross and drilled standard 15-inch rotors, but these are a two-piece rotor. The badges I have from an aftermarket source, billet. You can find them on the internet. I'm getting new badges showing 897 horsepower, which is my new horsepower numbers. The car was dynoed at 780 horsepower at the rear wheels, which extrapolates out to about 897 horsepower. I have KR mufflers, and the car sounds pretty badass. The car itself looks stock. The only thing I've done to it cosmetically is I put the red mirror covers on over the mirrors because it's what I like. Suspension wise, I have Ford Racing suspension. And shocks, I have an adjustable panhard bar and lower control arms. I'm looking at maybe doing more, but that's all I have now. I'll show you the motor and tell you what I've done to the engine and transmission and drive shaft. We've done it 1,000 times. But what I've done to the car, I'll go cosmetically first. Is I added the radiator cover by JLT, which I think looks phenomenal. They don't make them anymore. I also added their strut tower bar. VMP couldn't make this fit, but I put a washer. As you can see, a little bit of a space between the strut tower bar and the first spacer. There is one single washer on each bolt to give it enough lift to clear, and it barely clears the tower, but not by much. I have Ford racing caps because they're cost effective. I have the JLT catch cans, and probably the biggest thing I've done to the car, which is not normal on a 07 model, is I powder coated the valve covers, which I think look magnificent. I think the black valve covers look terrible, and I powder coated these. Of course, the snake emblem on the box or the fuses. Horsepower wise, I have the VMP3 blower. I have a 2.7 pulley. I have an AFCO heat exchanger, which you really can't see down there. I have a 123 JLT cold air intake. I have a VMP 67 throttle body. I have a 08 lower pulley because the 07 factory pulleys, crank pulleys, were monstrosity large. They were incredibly big, so you want to go with an 08 for reciprocating weight loss. I also have billet fuel rails, ID 1000 injectors, and I have cams in the car too. The one thing you can't see, I'll see if I can show it here, is I have Cook's long tube headers. So again, the car dynoed at 700 rear wheel horsepower with just the VMP3 blower, the 67 throttle body, the Cook's headers, and it was in June when it was dynoed. It picked up 80 horsepower with just the cams alone, which I think is misleading because it was perfect conditions to dyno a car in December, about a week ago, 10 days ago. So I think the cooler temperatures, I probably picked up 40 to 50 horsepower on the cams, which is what they're supposed to be, and another 20 to 25 on the motor, just having good conditions. The other thing I have, which you've noticed, is I have the blue belts, which I think are beautiful. It makes it a little bit different. Suspension wise, I covered the brakes, I've covered the tires and rims. One thing I do have, which I did not mention, is I have two sets of rims on the rears. I have a set of 20 by 11 CS14s in the shed that are basically 555s G2s for long trips. Then I have the NT05s for around town, so that if I do decide to take a long trip, I just flop the other rims and tires on and I'm good to go. I have the tire sensor reprogram key, so I can reprogram the sensors myself, which makes it nice. It was a $37 option. um, I'm trying to think what else I missed, but I think that's pretty much it. I've covered the interior, I covered the brakes, I covered the suspension, I covered the engine, the transmission. The transmission is stock. So let me know what your comments are, and I appreciate your time, and thank you so much. GoPro, stop recording.